Today, I get to introduce you to someone originally from Romania, Mirela Borsan. Her life has gone from a career in law enforcement to an entrepreneur, and now she is living her purpose and her passion as a certified business consultant and career coach. With over 20 years of experience, Mirela's teaching also encompass operations management, personal development, leadership, resource optimization, and conflict management. Wow, that's a handful. Welcome, Mirela. How are you today?
Good morning, Jane. I'm
Good
so
morning.
happy to be here. Thank you so much for being so gracious and inviting me to participate.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. Thank you for joining us. So you've come a long way from your original home in Romania, and you've had an interesting journey to get to where you are today. Tell us about your choice, first of all, to go into law enforcement and how you transitioned to an entrepreneur.
Oh boy, that's a long story.
We'll take the short version.
Yeah, exactly, like the Reader's Digest. So I started actually in law enforcement and more in criminal justice way before I started in law enforcement, because I kind of fell into it, to be honest with you, but I loved it. In Romania, I was in law school. I moved here my last year of law school because I got married, so I followed my ex-husband here. And I always was intrigued by crime stories. So I kind of followed that path, I guess. And I worked in juvenile detention. I worked for the adult probation department. And then finally, I made a transition to becoming a police officer. So I spent about 18 years overall in just law enforcement, but over 25 years in actually the criminal justice field. And, you know, some people, perhaps they get more jaded with time. I think I loved it more with time.
Wow, that's interesting.
It's just because I guess when you remain open to opportunities and also to personal growth, you really change, and you become more passionate, you follow more and fall more into your purpose. And for me, this purpose is to help people. I've known that for a long time, and it was easier when I was a cop, because most people get into this job not because they make money, but because they want to do good and they want to help. Right. But when I had to retire, I kind of didn't know, to be honest with you, what I was going to do. I became a leadership development coach at first, and I kind of developed into career coaching because a lot of people come to me for preparation for interviewing and career options. So I thought, let me explore this more. So hence, that's what I'm doing now and specializing in that.
Wonderful. So like a lot of entrepreneurs, the road is a little bumpy to get to where you need to go. But I think we carry all of our experience with us from what we've done before. And when we're in the position that we know doesn't really fit with what we are supposed to be doing, those experiences actually serve us later on in our life, but unbeknownst to us while we're in it. So, but that was interesting because you really enjoyed being a police officer, and I'm feeling that that was because you were able to help individuals in that position.
Yes. Yeah.
And so when you put it that way, it seems like a natural flow, but when I read it and you know, law enforcement to coaching, it didn't seem congruent, but now it does. So that's wonderful. So you say as a coach, you're not a mentor or a counselor. A coach is a partner in the client's journey to his or her destination. Tell us about that.
Yes, so you can become, I guess, a partner in the long run. But I think that to be a coach, you really walk the walk with your client. And I always sign with your partner in success, because I truly believe that I partner with my clients to find the perfect job, to find their strengths. Some people truly want to make a leap from the career or the job they have into a new job, or even a career, making a career transition, and they realize they don't know where to start. And one of the ways to start is to really know thyself, because otherwise you wouldn't really know what to do. And I don't want them to fall into the same kind of trap of finding something that perhaps they're not aligning with who they are as professionals.
Right.
So what I mean by that, I really truly am with them every step of the way. I guide them on how to find their strengths, and I even help them to brainstorm by asking relevant questions about their past roles, about their past companies, about past activities that they perhaps loved and they didn't pay attention at the time. And I always ask them the why. And it's easier for me because I'm a cop, so the what, when, where, how, why.
Oh, right.
It's called the 5 questions. Yeah. But in coaching, we do use those things. But for me, it kind of became natural to talk about that because I was already kind of trained in that.
Right. You were programmed.
Yeah, I was programmed to, yeah, exactly, to ask those questions. And I always try to ask them, but why is that? Why did it feel this way? Why did you enjoy it so much? What did that mean for you? And what does it mean for you now to do something you love? Why now?
The evidence, that's what you were saying. I recall our conversation earlier, and you said you explore the evidence. If you feel that way, what is the evidence that's making you feel that way? So I thought that was great. I mean, the way you've used that training and your passion for crime stories, and you've woven it into your coaching by asking clients, what if you're have that fear, or if you're not sure what direction you want to go, whatever it might be, then you bring them back to, well, what is the evidence that's showing you that?
Yes.
So you're basically uncovering them as opposed to a crime.
Exactly. And for me, it was kind of easy because I needed to find a way that I can relate to, and I use it naturally, and I don't use something that's scripted or that you learn. So for me, this was so natural to say, well, show me the evidence that you have from your past that shows that you will be unsuccessful, or your boss will think something of you, or you don't have or you're not going to succeed. How do you know? What specific evidence you have to show me that proves this?
Right.
So
and when you put it in that language, evidence, it makes it so much more rooted. They're like, what do you mean evidence? And you're saying,
like powerful in a way, because people don't really think about that.
Right.
And I had a lot of clients say, you know what, I never thought about that or put it that way, because it's such a powerful word that kind of breaks that, I don't know, the conscious in a way to think, like the pattern of thinking. And they immediately like, well, there's no really anything to show. I'm like, see, then that doesn't serve you. If it doesn't serve you, then we need to eliminate it.
Exactly. No, I love that. That's brilliant. You're the coach investigator.
The coach, I like that.
Yeah, coach investigator. So when looking for what's next, either in a new career or business or even a relationship, you mentioned it's important, and you just mentioned this very briefly a minute ago, to know thyself, who you are today. I know you touched a little bit on that, but do you use any specific steps to ask clients how you get to know thyself, or what exactly, how would someone in the audience use some of your tools to get to know thyself when they're trying to transition into something new and different?
So there are several parts. One of the things that I do, I purchase for my clients the Clifton Strengths, because I believe that the good assessments that are there, even DISC or Clifton Strengths or any of the good, even Myers-Briggs, it's good to show you from a scientific perspective what is, but that's not enough, because in a real world, we might have those intrinsic values and strengths and skills or talents that we may not think about, but other people around us see. So the second part of that is to ask colleagues, leaders, our bosses, former bosses, our family, and our friends, what am I good at?
I love that.
What do you see that I'm excelling in?
Get
what makes me special? Exactly. What makes me special? And I asked, for example, my former boss that, and he gave me something that I would have never thought about, that even though that what he told me, one of my strengths is one of my values, my non-negotiable values. And the third part of that is to really see an introspection, to spend time with yourself, to give yourself the gift of time to figure it out, where you've been for the past 10 years. What has worked? Where were you miserable? Where were you happy? And what are you passionate about? Sometimes we passionate about certain things, but that doesn't mean we can necessarily monetize it. However, I suggest that let's keep those as hobbies that you can balance your work and life, that make you happy, make time for that. And let's think of your technical or transferable skills, or other skills that you have that perhaps you can put to work either as an entrepreneur or as an employee or a leader, whichever path you may choose. So it's really important to, even for us, to know who we are, what are our values, and what are our career needs, because our career needs changed over time. In the beginning of my career, my need was to pay my bills and pay my debts, right? To pay my student debt and do that. Right. Then it became, okay, I wanted to progress in my career and I want to be a leader because I wanted to mentor and coach employees and help them succeed. Then later on, it was still the willingness and the want to change other people's lives and help them succeed, but also I wanted to be part of the decision making of the organization. So it helped me move further. So we change over time, and it's really important to figure it out. Okay, where am I? Where am I now compared to where was I before?
So would you suggest this could be sort of an annual exercise for individuals? I mean, even if you are successful and you're doing your passion, it's almost like a reset, or taking another look at where you are today, where you've come from. And of course, when you're starting a new career or you're starting to explore the platform of being an entrepreneur, I love the fact that you ask other people how they see your strengths. And also give yourself the time to maybe make a list of the pros and the cons. And it sounds like something that would be very useful even to review on an annual basis.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And for me, for example, the way I ask them to do it, and what I have done is I really have to sit with myself and say, okay, what am I good at? Right? What am I passionate about? And am I aligning in what I do right now with my passion? And if I'm not, what do I need to do to get there? And here's the thing, Jane, a lot of people get scared because it's the certainty, it's the comfort, it's the security. And I made the jump to full-time coaching last year in October from a government job. And what can be more comfortable than a government job? Come on. Right. Let's just be honest here. And
Good for
And I
you.
couldn't be more happier.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of work, but I was miserable every day. Was driving over an hour one way.
Oh,
I was just miserable because I wasn't in love with what I did and I wasn't passionate about. And this was just calling me to, I want to grow my business and I want to give it full-time attention. I wanted to make it work. And you can't really do that if your mind is somewhere else and then half of your body is somewhere else and half of your mind. So I decided to quit and say, hey, I'm going to give this 100%. And if it's not working in a year or in a year and a half, then I'll find a job. But
good
if
for
it is, then
you.
I wanted to give it all I got.
Yeah, because if we don't try, we don't know.
We don't know.
We don't
Exactly. And you know, I'm not saying just go quit your job and jump into this. There's so many ways somebody could become an entrepreneur, to include keeping that 9 to 5 and having a side job, having the high side hustle that you want. Get your stuff all ready by the time you do the jump. Have your finances in order and support from family and friends, because you're gonna need it. And
Right.
be financially secure. There are a lot of things that go into becoming an entrepreneur, and it's not easy. Trust me, coming from an organization and even a mind where you completely, everything is pretty much well defined, and you're working in an environment that is very organized, very, it's the rules and procedures and this and that, and you go into all being creative and coming up
No
with
boundaries.
exactly. And
Yeah.
you're like, what? My brain is like, so,
Yeah, it takes
but
discipline too, though.
it takes absolute discipline, persistence, grit, and you can't be offended because people will reject you because you're not making it. And for me, it hasn't been always like on this path. I had to reinvent myself just in the past few months a couple of times and rebrand, rethink, refocus. But that's the beauty of doing it, but it's also the beauty of being adaptable and always wanting to learn. Always.
Yep.
The best, Warren Buffett said, the best investment you can ever make is in yourself. And
Yes.
it cannot be, you know, more true today and always, that if you want to get somewhere, you got to invest in yourself. However you do that, with time, money, grit, resilience, persistence, however you need, whatever you need to do.
Exactly. Yes, and the support of friends and family is a big thing too. So that's
absolutely,
that's wonderful. I give you credit. Well, you said, and you were talking roughly about those of us who take the leap, et cetera, et cetera. And you touched on this because I love the perspective thing. You said our perspectives can play a huge role in our decision making. So redefining the meaning of success can play a big part of that. So I know all of us have different definitions of success, and a lot of that holds us back. And a lot of it comes from our families, from our culture. And you've got a little bit, you come from a different culture, and you've had a career in, like you said, law enforcement, which was all rules and regulations. So how do one come to a position to redefine success? How should we look at that so that it doesn't stop us in our tracks to move forward?
So you have to be true to yourself, truly. And for me, I know I'm successful when I'm providing value, when people succeed, when I see them that they are successful in their promotion or career. Like yesterday, I got a message from a client saying, hey, I got a job. It's like a new promotion. And he's in early 60s and changed the job. And
Wow.
I redid his resume, and I was talking to him on, career strategies. And yeah, it's within his company, but he wanted to do something different. And he was considering even leaving. Mm-hmm. So we kind of re-strategize, but that to me is success. Before, it was success what other people thought, that if I'm a good leader, if I am doing this, if I'm leading from the trenches, if I am like one of the boys, because as you know, law enforcement is a very male dominated culture. And we can very easily become trapped into what other people think. I was stuck into what my mother wanted for me and how she defined my success, until I had to set up boundaries and say, no, this is how I feel fulfilled. This is what makes my heart sing, or bringing my heart and spirit on fire. That is for me success. Not what other people think, not what's culturally accepted, not what other people believe or see as success, because this is our journey. And I cannot compare my chapter 1 with somebody else's chapter 5 and say, well, I'm not successful, I'm not doing anything. But if I learn something new and apply it in my business and I get results, that is success. If I see somebody that they get a job or they get a compliment for their resume or their LinkedIn profile and a result of some of the work I did, that is success. If somebody is thinking about or rethinking about their career, I have 2 clients I helped, they were so stuck into, oh, well, I need a full-time job, I need just this, and one of them messaged me and said, hey, it was you who made me put in my mind to look for projects or short-term consulting, and she got a 6-month contract. And I'm like, that's okay, don't get stuck into that predetermined notion of I have to have this, and be adaptable, be flexible, think a little bit outside the box, which, trust me, for me, it was very hard because I'm a cop. I don't think
I can imagine. And a family that probably wanted other things for you.
Yeah, exactly. Not being a cop, that's for sure, because as the only child, your mom does not want you to become a cop, trust me.
I can imagine. I can imagine. So what I'm hearing then, and this is really great, Mirela, is that we need to define success for ourselves, what it means to us. If that means that we have helped an individual find a new job, if that means we created a product that somebody enjoys, if that means that we have shifted someone in their life, like you said, for that individual to go and look for a project or a contract job, then that resonates with our heart and that makes us feel good. Even if you're an inventor like Elon Musk, I mean, he's of a grander scale, but obviously his, I guess, definition of success is the invention of, mechanical things. That's what makes his heart sing. So define it for yourself, and not to let the outside definition by others define your definition of success.
Yes, absolutely. Because when we live somebody else's path or we wanted to make others happy, we're never going to do that, period. And I realized that because happiness truly comes within. I cannot dance my mom or my husband. I don't have one, but I'm just saying that if I cannot put it on somebody else's risk. That's a huge responsibility for somebody else to hold and to burden. So you have to figure it out. That's why it's so important to spend time with yourself and see who you are and what makes you passionate, and the path, reevaluate the path. Like you said earlier, even reevaluate it on a yearly basis. Hey, like I had to do in the past, just like I told you, the past few months. And I said, hey, I am not really crazy about my former logo and what I had. So I rebranded. I created a different brand with different colors, and now I'm consistent and I'm building everything else on that so that people recognize that after they see me. I also became very active on LinkedIn, building a network, but making true connections. I will not connect, or I will not simply message or even comment on somebody's post unless I had something of value to say. That is important. So you have to constantly redefine, reassess what's working, what's not working. What do I need to change? What do I need to do? Can I do everything, or can I delegate some of the steps, or outsource in case of entrepreneurs?
But yeah, I mean, we really have to, you know, be aware of what is working, what is not, but then not beat ourselves up. Like you said, you weren't happy with it, but that didn't mean that, you know, your business was kaput or that life was over. It's just like, okay, take a step back, reevaluate. I can do this. I can change it up. It's not that I'm a failure, because unfortunately, a lot of us go there when something isn't working. It's like, oh, well, you see, it just didn't work. So now I'm not going to do it. Yeah, you too.
And I think we all of us have
but
done
it's okay. It's okay to reassess. It's okay if that didn't work. It's not that it didn't work. It's just that you haven't found the right formula yet.
Yeah, or strategy.
Or strategy, or the right answer yet. I read that somewhere and I love it, because it's not that you failed or that it didn't work. It's just that you didn't find the right thing yet. So,
well, look at Thomas Edison. You know, he failed like almost 10,000 times. And every time he said, well, I found out 10,000 times not to do this. Exactly. And it's so true. I mean, that is so true. I mean, talking about grit and perseverance and determination to succeed, we wouldn't have electricity. I mean, we would have, but maybe later, or somebody else, but he wouldn't have been the great inventor of the light bulb if that wouldn't have happened. So we really have to say, okay, this didn't work, but what have I learned from this experience? Exactly. What am I not going to do next time? And what am I going to continue on doing? And I think most of us heard the story of the 3 feet from gold story, where these 2 guys went to, or I think it was Colorado, and they went to dig for gold, and they found gold, and they started striking, and all of a sudden it went empty. And they started digging and digging and digging, and there's nothing. And they went, first time when they were digging for gold, they went to their family, they borrowed money, they got all the tools and everything they needed, and then they didn't strike up gold anymore. Well, they never employed I believe it was like a mine expert at the time, gold expert, to tell them that the vein, actually, that is very common in any mining strategy. So that was okay for them, because the gold was actually found 3 feet after they stopped digging. And the next guy struck and had a ton of money. That was the person that they bought their equipment for very cheap. Oh boy. He went back there, he hired somebody to help. And it's like the 3 feet from gold story. Don't stop just because if you have something in your heart that you feel super passionate about, and you know that you can be successful, that it can work, that you love it, and this is your life, go for it. And don't stop it until you figure it out a way to make it work.
That's wonderful. I feel your passion. I mean, you really are. You are in your zone. I love it. I love it. You are in your zone, and you just come across. You're contagious. You're very well spoken. I love it.
Oh, thank you.
It's very. This is really, I think, very insightful for all of our listeners. So our next question I have is, creating transformational goals can really help us to build a roadmap to where we want to go. What specific questions do we need to be asking ourselves to get us creating these goals? And you mentioned this a little in our conversation, such as, why did I love the last job, et cetera, et cetera. So I think some of these specific questions would be helpful for people to know how to determine your transformational goals.
So first we gotta sit with ourselves and first figure it out, the overarching, I kind of call it the overarching goal. Where do I want to be in 5 years? So let's say that I want to become a best-selling author or an author and publish my first book in 5 years. So I know where I wanted to go, right? But what do I have to do and what can I do now? So for example, where do I want it to be in a year from today? You have to start writing, right? At 3 years, you have to find an editor. Let's say you have to find a publisher. So you put that for 3 years. And then at the 1 year mark, where do I want it to be and what do I want it to see in a year? Well, I wanted to have my book written down. And how many chapters? Well, I want to have 12 chapters or 6 chapters or whatever. And how am I going to do that? So let's say that every month I'm going to get something down. Okay, but how can I break that down even more? Well, I have to start research. What is it that I need to do? What is my book about? So let's say that you have a topic, you know what you wanted to write about, and then you start to figure it out. Okay, what are the major components of my book? So this chapter, it takes people from A to Z, and this is the way the chapters to do that. And then what do I need? Well, I need to talk to somebody. I need to do some research. I need to figure it out. How do I start writing that? That is going to be informational. It's going to be educational. It's going to be motivational. Is it going to be of a personal story? What is it that I want to do? But everything, every goal that I'm making, it has to do with that big goal.
Right.
Because everything that we have to, every step that we wanted to make, we want to work in that direction. It's like going from Los Angeles to New York, and most people don't just wake up one day and say, okay, I'm going. Right. And they have no idea what they wanted to do. Yeah, there are those people who can do that, and more props to them. But I couldn't just get out of my car and say, okay, I'm going to New York, and I have no idea. Yeah, like what route am I gonna take? Where am I gonna stay? Is it safe? Is it not safe? Where am I eating? What are the restrictions now because of COVID? What can I see on my way there? Or do I want to fly? Do I want to fly? I mean, there are so many things that go really into planning a trip. Well, this is no different. You want to have that transformation. You have to figure it out, what it is that you want. Where do you see yourself in that 30, 60, 90, a year, 3 year, 5 years? And then every single step that you do, you have to take it towards that trip.
Right. But take small steps.
But take small steps. Absolutely. Listen, if you only want to have one goal a week because you have kids and you have a husband or wife and you have activities and you have this and you have that and you're all over the place, that's okay. Take one step a week and move towards there. Don't get discouraged. And here's another thing. If you weren't able to do it that week, then say, okay, I wasn't able to do this week, but I'm not going to quit. I'm going to make my time next week, but then do it. Don't get into the procrastination mode. Find an accountability partner if you have to, and have that person hold you accountable, and you be accountable for yourself, because you cannot have transformation without action. You can't be wanting a different result, but you keep doing the same things over and over and over. And here's what I learned. We truly nobody can make us do anything.
No.
We're the only person who can do that. So whenever you had enough of whatever you had enough, or whatever, you're going to be determined and motivated, and you say, by God, I'm going to do this, and nobody's going to stop me because I'm tired of being here, that I'm just going to do it. Otherwise, I can hold you accountable all day long, but if you're not going to take action, you're not going to see the transformation, because it's just the way it is. You know, I can want to eat all day long, but if I ain't going to cook, I'm not going to eat.
Yes.
So it's not going to, nothing will happen.
Yeah.
So that's very important. But one of the things, and then work on one big dream at a time. Don't get, one of the big goals for me for this year was not to go down the rabbit hole of perpetual learning and actually finish stuff. Because I have this course and this book, and I'm one of those people who I want to know, and I want to know now, and I want to finish everything right now.
I'm with you. I'm guilty.
It's like, good Lord.
Yeah.
So this year I said, forget it. I am not going to do that. So I had to say, I don't know how many times, and these copywriters are so good that they just make you want to push that button, and then I had to be like, don't do it, and keep it. And it's a fight, but I put this in my mind that I'm not going to do this year, and that I'm going to keep on keeping on the things that I committed myself to.
Focus.
To finish, to zoom in those things, and then take it to the next level. Because otherwise, I will constantly be learning and then apply nothing.
Exactly.
So
no action.
More. Yeah, so it's the same thing, and it's a habit building. You cannot have transformation without the goals or intentions, like I like to call them. I'm intentional about this or that, because that means that I'm taking a step to go into that direction. And then creating the habits, looking, okay, am I drinking too much soda and I need to cut it off, because otherwise I'll continue to gain weight or not be able to sleep because it has too much caffeine. What do I need to do to get me where I want to get? And yes, It's going to hurt. And yes, you're going to get down, and you're going to get frustrated, and sometimes you're going to want to throw in the towel. But what is it that you want more than anything in this world?
Yes, you have to keep bringing that back home. Bringing it back home. Reminding
And it's okay to fall. It's okay to fall off the bandwagon. We all do it. But the most important thing is not to get stuck on the ground.
Right.
Is to keep on getting up. I don't care how many times, you just keep on trying and keep on trying and keep on doing it. And one day, bam, you're going to.
It'll happen, and you'll say, how did this happen?
Exactly. Or it'll become subconsciously already recorded, because it's a habit, and now you've been doing it so much. It's no different than learning how to drive a car. How did you learn how to drive a car? You knew that this is the brake, you knew that this is the accelerator, you knew that you have to, how much coordination does it go when you drive a car?
Yeah, we take it for granted, but you're right. You need a lot of awareness driving a car. There's a lot.
Oh my God, yes. And I have to think for other people too. I have to perceive, and I have to foresee what other people are doing. Where are they going? Are they going to stop? They're not going to stop. I mean, there's so many things to think about. So this is no different. Why are we put more effort into buying a car than choosing the path that will make us happy, that will make us fulfilled, because it's not about just the happiness, but it's making us fulfilled. Because I believe 99% of the people want to be fulfilled at work, in their lives. They want to feel like they're living a life full of energy and happiness and content, and just be happy with their life, be passionate about their life.
Right. Well, we'll have them call you for a dose of happiness. Call Mirela.
a positivity and a push.
Yeah, exactly. She'll get behind you and really push you. That's fabulous. I love it. Yeah, I hear you. I'm ready to go now. Thank you. That was wonderful. Well, here's a statement that I love that you mentioned in our conversation before the interview. You said, "Are you conforming or are you creating?" How important is this in everything that we do and why?
So you are such a good note taker, gosh.
Thank you. Yes,
I wrote actually a post. Yeah, and I wrote actually a post after a while about that on LinkedIn. And the reason here, and here's what I'm saying, we have to conform to society rules and regulations. So that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is, am I conforming to what everybody else is doing, to what everybody else is saying? Am I conforming to their truth and their reality? Because they may be discouraging me from going after my dreams, because they are telling me, don't leave your job, don't do this, don't go for that promotion, don't leave your company, don't start your own business because it's unsecure and it's this and it's uncertain. So am I conforming to society, to the way I should be, that I should be having a job for 30, 40 years, which, by the way, it's not customary anymore, because we've seen millennials changing jobs and adapting. But for me, I'm a Gen X, and you probably Gen X too. We love to be in that job forever, and we are going on a specific path. And I don't want to be a conformist in that way. I don't want to follow the crowd. I want to create my own dream. I wanted to create my own path. If a door is open, it can't open, can I make it open? If there is no door, can I create a door? If there is nothing of whatever I'm seeking for, how can I get it? Or am I gonna say, oh, there's no way, I'm sorry, man, I wish that I could do this? Well, the first thing is to ask, what can you do to make it happen? Is there? Most of the time, like Marie Forleo says, which I love, everything is figure outable. You can figure it out, which is true. We are perfect, not just the two of us, but everybody. I believe in this world has gone through the economic downtime, to different jobs that they don't like, through divorces, to childbirths, to moving, to this, to that, to death, to how many changes do we have in life? And we figure it out.
We're here to create.
We're here to create. And then what can I create that's better, that's bigger, that's unique? That, like, for me, I know that there are so many coaches out there, but my uniqueness isn't the experience I create, is the way I coach, is the way that I pour into my clients. Even after we are done, I know that I'm supposed to be helping people. Well, I want to walk that walk, and that is the experience I want to create.
That makes all of us unique, is what the gifts that we have.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's why I hear that a lot from those who are thinking of starting a business, and particularly today, an online business and coaching or personal development. And they'll say, well, but everybody's doing it. And I said, but you're not everybody. And people, in the end, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Yeah. And that's what resonates, and that's what makes you special. So it's not that everyone is doing it, it's that you are doing it, because you are your brand. You are the reason that people are picking up the phone or connecting with you on LinkedIn or social media or whatever it might be. In the past, going to see you at an event. So yeah, it's who we are that makes us unique. And makes whatever we offer unique.
and some people, Jean, will resonate with us and some people won't, and that's okay.
That's
because
right.
those
There's somebody
people,
for everybody.
exactly, and it's okay to be okay with that, to acknowledge that. And sometimes I have people who I said, hey, I may not be the best person, but listen, this person may be, or you can go to this person for this.
Right.
And it's okay, because our job as coaches is to ensure that people are getting the help, that they get what they need. And even though we may not be the perfect option, somebody else who resonates with the way we do business and the way we are will come our way.
Exactly. And in fact, in making that choice for who it is that you connect with, going back to the question is, you're not conforming. You're looking to create something new with someone who resonates with you. So that's really full circle, because I was just thinking of that. We all make choices, but we feel that we don't put that in our lives, that to don't conform, or not don't conform, but it's better for us not to conform to create. But when we make choices, we're not really conforming, because we're not picking the same thing as everyone else, unless of course you're a celebrity follower, and there are those, and et cetera, et cetera. But yes, that's very true, that we all have our gifts, and that's what makes us each unique, and that's what makes us each full of creativity. And that is the reason why people are going to deal with you versus me, or versus someone else.
Yeah. I love my conversation with you.
Oh, thank you. Me too. You're just a ball of energy. I love it. You're just, this is what I love.
I get like so passionate.
I love it. Well, that's why people deal with you. I mean, it's the passion, or it's the lack of passion. I mean, some people get overwhelmed with an individual with a lot of energy, like yourself. Me, that feeds my soul. I love energetic individuals, but I understand everyone is different. So that is why we have different individuals that we connect with. And that is the way in which you will deliver whatever it is that you're delivering, whether, you know, if we're a coach or if we're a performer, there's different strokes for different folks. And because of that, we all connect with who we need to connect with while we're here. Exactly. When we put ourselves in that realm, we have
somebody will be attracted to us.
Exactly. Yeah.
There is enough for everybody.
Abundance is everywhere. And that's the one thing that I always say, is that, you know, a lot of people, when they go to that mindset where they speak about, I'm doing everything that everyone else is doing, that is coming from a mindset of lack. Because there is plenty for everyone, and it doesn't matter. What matters is what you feel that you're doing in your heart is what is important. And speaking of mindset, I wonder if you could just talk to us a little bit about mindset right now in these very unprecedented times, because I know that a lot of individuals are struggling, and they could probably use some advice. So I'll let you just unpack that for us if you can.
This is one of my favorite topics, because I have made that transition a while back from being more negative, because again, my culture was a big influence in my life. So, and not to speak anything bad about it, but we just did not go around being happy and jumping and screaming for joy or nothing like that.
Yeah, but it's very common in parts of Europe, because I did
like Eastern European. You always like, you know, you worried about how you're going to pay the bills and how, but it's the scarcity, I think, mindset. But for me, it wasn't just that. It was even the simple fact that, oh my God, I brush my teeth and I spill something on my jacket, and now I'm gonna have a bad day. You know, just simple as that. And it's like, okay, how about we just laugh and make fun of it? And
perspective.
That's it. Yeah. And at the time, I remember I went through a second divorce. I was married just for a few months, and I was so depressed. And I remember, I don't even know who told me about the book, The Secret. And I found it, I read it, and I could not stop reading it. And I started following Bob Proctor and Jack Canfield and Lisa Nichols who were in there, and I just started to absorb and actually apply. Speaking about applying and taking action, is when I was observing a negative thought, I had to say, okay, I'm going to have my meltdown, but now how can I move forward with more positivity? What can I be grateful for? And trust me, I know how it is to have -$3 in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
I know how it is to go through divorce. I know how it is to have other issues. I know how it is to have a lot of instability and uncertainty. And it really took everything I got to replace those thoughts. And again, I'm going for that evidence in the past that we have been to a really bad recession. We have been through other times. But one of the most important things I can tell somebody how to work on themselves is to guard your thoughts. Horace said that if you don't rule your mind, the mind will rule you. And it's so true that everything starts here, because our thoughts are causing our emotions. Right. When I talk to you, I don't say, well, Jane told me this. I say, well, Jane made me feel this way. She made me feel welcomed and appreciated and valued. I don't say, well, Jane made me think about this. Mm-hmm. So it's so important to guard your thoughts and to believe in yourself and your strength, even though you may be laid off. There are many companies, they're hiring right now. It takes a little bit of re-strategizing, reevaluating, and seeing what direction can I take? How can I use this to propel my career? And let's also be honest with ourselves and admit that some of us hated those jobs. Some of us were miserable in those jobs.
Absolutely.
Never did anything because it was, again, comfortable. And it was certain. And now we felt so relieved and we're happier. Let's look at the good things that this may have created. And I know I might be an unusual optimistic, but I've really seen a lot of good come out of this too, because I've seen a lot more bosses trust their people to work from home. A lot more employees have liked working from home, because some of them may have not liked being from home because they didn't want to feel isolated. They didn't feel like they didn't have the social aspect of the office. I mean, there's many things that they could have. Some businesses reinvented themselves and took their business online, where perhaps they never thought of that before.
Yeah, they never would have done it.
Exactly. Restaurants, curbside pickup, you never did that before. And for sure, you never had alcohol that was sold that way, but they're able to do that.
Maybe not a good thing to
indulge in. Exactly. Yeah, but you know, that is thinking of that outside the box. Exactly. And say, hey, how can I use this to do business in a different way, not the traditional way?
So this is really what you're saying, is it's really forced us to think without the box even. I don't even say outside the box, because we were forced into a situation. But in looking at it from a more creative, positive perspective, it's given us, for those who are taking advantage of it, an opportunity to redefine our business, to redefine the way we deliver business, to redefine our services, to redefine our life, our career, or even starting a new job, or being an entrepreneur. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that those people and those businesses who will be adaptable, who will be flexible, who will stay open to opportunities and new horizons. They will be the ones that are going to be able to seize the moment and move it to the next direction. If not, it doesn't matter COVID or not, because look at companies like Sears, J.C. Penney, Blockbusters in the past. They refused to reinvent, to put at the helm people who could turn the companies around, and other people will come and sweep them, and they will be extinct. When it's no different, exactly, it's no different than it was before. It's just a different way of doing business, that's all.
Exactly. So what I hear you saying then is we want to focus on the positivity, in the sense that our mindset can go to, what can I see now that I didn't see before? What am I feeling now that I didn't feel before? What opportunities are there that weren't there before? And when we put our mind to those questions, we completely shift our energy, we shift our attitude, we shift our mindset, which is really more productive today, instead of, for example, binge watching for the last, 3 months or something, which really doesn't do a whole lot. I can understand people enjoying that, but you have to, like you said, push yourself. You want to at least engage your mind to understand what it is that we can do. That's
and
positive.
again, not conform, but create, because this is the perfect opportunity not to conform to what everybody else is doing. How does everybody else feel, or how is everybody else feeling?
Right.
It's
Create,
your,
not conform.
not conform, exactly.
Well,
and have that mindset to lead you there. Stay positive, create those positive habits. And here's, I'm not saying, Jane, at all, don't don't allow yourself to feel sad or angry or frustrated. That's not what I'm saying. But you're making a choice not to stay there.
Right.
I acknowledge when I'm pissed, where I'm sad, where I'm not moving maybe the way I want to be moving, or faster, or do whatever I wanted to do, right? And it's okay to grieve for 5 minutes, and after that I say, okay, I grieve. 5
years.
I pouted enough. Let's just now figure it out. What do I need to do different?
My pity party. I have a friend who calls it a pity party.
Yeah. And just don't stay there. That's all I'm saying. And use your past experience of winning, of achievement, of success, of moving forward, of having the strength to go through the life challenges that you've been through, and you're here, that brought you here to propel you to the next level.
So here we are, Mirela, near the end of our journey together, and it's been wonderful. I do have a couple of quick questions that we ask every guest. So if your life were an epic story, what would the title be?
If I were
if your life was an epic story, what would the title be?
The Romanian warrior.
Okay, I love it. That's perfect. What name would you give your character in your epic story?
Oh boy. The survivalist.
Okay, great. How would you characterize your epic life?
Somebody who it's truly a survivor story, to be honest with you, but it's in a good way, not feel of sorrow. But I think it's a story full of events that helped me grow, that helped me develop into the person I am today. where I've learned a lot and I'm still learning. A surviving story in the sense that it's made of grit and perseverance and determination and finding yourself and finding your passion and faith, especially that helped me get here.
Okay.
And it's a story full of little adventures, some better, some not so great, but full of lessons. And I think that that's what makes it special for all of us, is that we always can and have the choice to choose what we want to learn, how we want to learn, and how to move forward from where we've been. Because even though history repeats itself, I believe that our past is not equal to our future, in the sense that if we had something that happened that we didn't like, that is just we perceived as failure, even though it was just feedback and getting better, it doesn't define our future. We
Great.
have to define our future.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And there's one last question. If you had an epic superpower, what would it be and why?
To transform the world in a better place, where there's no hurt and no sorrow, but it's full of good life lessons that and help people truly tap into their power and their special gifts. That's what I would love to be able to do. My ability would be to help everybody in a magic way to tap into their own gifts, their own abilities, their own strengths and talents, so that they can share it into good with the world.
Wonderful. Well, on that note, Mirela, I would love to say a big, huge thank you. I'm giving you a virtual hug because I love your energy.
Thank you so much for having me here. It was such a blast. I so enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you. My pleasure as well. And I wanted to thank all of the listeners for tuning in and continuing to learn and grab these tools however you can. I would love, Mirela and I would love to hear from you. So please go over to my Facebook page and write a comment. Tell us what your epic takeaway was for this conversation. And there may be several, because I know for me, there have been several. And you can, Mirela, tell everyone where they can find you and some of your services if you'd like, and we'll get all that information up beside your bio, but just let the audience know where they can find you.
Sure. And the easiest way, that's part of my rebranding, was to get my first name, last name website. It's mirelaborsan.com. You'll get to find out about me. You can schedule a free conversation. And
oh, that's wonderful. So
we can talk about career and life as well, because I am a career and life coach, and I look at whatever issue we're dealing with in a holistic way, because we can't deal with a career if your life is not up to par or how you like it to be. So I look at it in a holistic way, and I a lot of times get to have great conversations in more than 30 minutes, so feel free to schedule. And you also get to see my programs and what I can do to perhaps assist you and help you, guide you to move forward in your career or your life.
So that's wonderful, everyone. Take advantage of Mirela and her incredible energy. Be sure and check out her free session, and we'll have everything again available on the website. And once again, thank you for tuning in. This has been your Epic Vision Zone, and we will see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you so much.